team, together with more team.
More Team, partnering with the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives to keep you and your family safe. More Team, safe on you, tough on mosquitoes.
Small children, why them no go sick? Them too they carry dirty and yama germs. Shey na water wey you fetch come keep for ground you dey take baff am.
Yes na.
See, water wey you fetch keep no dey good or clean to use as im dey.
Na true, water wey you fetch come keep to use later. Fit look clean, but plenty yama germs dey inside, wey fit cause sickness.
So make you stop to dey store yama germs. Come begin Kampe Health. Dettol, maximum protection against germs every day.
I beg your pardon for that. Well, non-governmental organizations, or NGOs as they are popularly called, are organizations set up to deliver human services, promote grassroots economic development, and prevent environmental degradation, protect civil rights, and pursue 1,000 other objectives formerly unattended or left by the state.
They are non-state actors that operate on a non-profit basis, mostly through voluntary activities. Some are indigenous to their locations, while others are branches of a parent international organization operating within a given location.
Like every other organization, be it private or public, the quest for optimal performance and functionality is the same for NGOs. So they have management structures and well spelled out operations. But running an NGO can be a challenging job. Tell me about it, especially for one that does not have access to international or project-related funding.
So the question of building capacity to improve and strengthen management expertise or boost performance and sustainability of the NGOs is really a necessity. But then most suffer from paucity of funds. So what's the way out, especially for most indigenous NGOs that often are the ones faced with the challenge of funding?
This is where Wise Way NGO Training School comes in. Wise Way is concerned about training, of course, staff development of both management and ordinary staff of selected NGOs in Nigeria to upgrade their knowledge in various aspects of the organization's operations with the aim of enabling them and the organization perform their functions effectively, efficiently, and of course with regard to sustainability, the Wise Way. Well, that's a lot of wisdom.
Well, with us in the studio this time is Kolawole Jayeoba. Kolawole is the CEO of Wise Way Training School, and he will be telling us just what his organization has in store for NGOs in Nigeria. Kolawole, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right, Kolawole, you know, wisdom is very far-fetched these days, and Wise Way School seems to be on top of their game when talking about orientation. Tell us a bit about Wise Way and, NGO Training School.
Wise Way NGO Training School is a capacity building for non-governmental organization. We have discovered that to compete with international organization when it comes to NGO and funding, and this time around that the capacity building in Africa is being challenged, most especially in the area of finance, management and all that. So that's where the Wise Way NGO Training School come up, and then saying that, okay, let's build the capacity of some of these local NGO so that they can have access to both local and international funding. And even beyond having access to funding, NGOs start with passion. There must be a means of sustaining your passion. Your passion must be able to go beyond even you, and the other generation will be able to see it. I've seen that some government officials, even the deputy governor's wife or governor's wife, they want to have their NGO. It's good. If you see the amount of the money given to such an NGO is, if they have enough capacity in place, should grow beyond their tenure in the office. It should grow beyond their tenure in the office. Their NGO shouldn't die after 4 years or 8 years of serving in that office. The NGO should grow, should be able to impart more life. They should be able to employ more people. And most time, if you go to some of these NGOs and you look at the money that they put in that NGO, is enough to sustain it for years. And that's why once we NGO training school come up and say, why we can't continue to talk about the problem with NGO, we must find the solutions to it. So we start NGO training school, and we've been able to build 1 or 2, 3 capacity for NGOs, and we are running monthly training as well. We just finished for first quarter, and the second quarter is starting by May.
Okay, now let's look at funding for NGOs generally. Those who are affiliated to other international NGOs get donations from such NGOs. Now, for those who are, locally based, you find a situation where many believe that there is nobody that, monitors their income and monitors their funds, and so they are at liberty to do and undo, and they do whatever they like with it. So if they're able to generate funding, how do they manage it?
That's another thing. We have what we call financial management for NGO, and that's another area in which we come in. But there's an aspect of ICPC that is monitoring a non-governmental organization. But beyond that, I believe your vision should be to serve generation beyond you, not only because you're local, you just take advantage of people, you get the money, and you don't want to live beyond that. So that's another area in which we can look at it.
Now, the issue of NGOs is a growing worldwide phenomenon. And then you look across from the 20th century to now, you realize that a lot of NGOs have cropped up, even those who are non-functionary. Now, what are the criteria and the qualifications of NGOs in the first place before they even come up to an organization such as yours to register and train as an NGO?
One, to come up to us and register, because we are not a government organization. The first thing, if you want to register an NGO, you go to CSC, you register with them. But to me, even if your NGO is not registered, you can start equipping yourself. You can start the capacity. We'll let you know this is what you should do. And I think people like us should be the first person they will approach even before going to Corporate Affairs Commission to register.
So you can advise
so that
them.
we can advise them. This is what you need to do. These are the funding that are available, but this kind of the vision. This is how you can form your vision. This is how you can do your strategic plan for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years.
Okay, Kolawole, I'm going to have to hold you there. It's top of the hour, time for us to bring you Pan-African World. Don't go anywhere just yet. After Pan-Africa, this interview continues. Join us again. The President of the Nigerian Senate, David Mark, wants religious leaders across the country to keep praying for peace and stability in Nigeria. Senator Mark was speaking at his 65th birthday Thanksgiving Mass at St. Augustine Catholic Church in Otukpo, Benue State. The Senate President said Nigeria needs fervent prayers at this trying time in order to overcome the many challenges that have crippled parts of the country. Senator Mark called on Nigerians to live lives full of passion for the less privileged in the society. The Ghanaian President John Mahama has praised the uncommon transformation and developmental efforts of Governor Godswill Akpabio-led administration in Akwa Ibom State, south of Nigeria. President Mahama, who arrived at the Akwa Ibom International Airport, Uyo, on Sunday, later inspected some projects executed by the state government. The visiting Ghanaian president says the story of Akwa Ibom State is a model for other leaders to positively affect lives of their people. Former South African President Nelson Mandela, who was discharged from the hospital Saturday, is now recuperating at home. The 94-year-old, who was South Africa's first black president, was admitted to the hospital on March 27th. He has received treatment for a recurring lung infection and pneumonia. A statement by the presidential office said Mandela's home is equipped with a mini clinic that can provide 24-hour care as he continues his recovery from his bout of pneumonia. Mandela, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, has become increasingly frail over the years and has not appeared in public since South Africa hosted the World Cup in 2010. 5 persons were killed when members of the Christian and Muslim communities clashed in El Qusus, north of the Egyptian capital in Cairo. Residents said the violence broke out on Friday when a group of Christian children were drawing on a wall of a Muslim religious institute. Another man arrived and started beating the children, drawing a large crowd. The situation escalated when someone drew a gun and fired into the air, killing one boy with a stray bullet. The president's office expressed condolences to the victims and vowed to fight any sectarian violence. Muslim leaders were also quick to condemn the sectarian violence, which comes as Egypt struggles with a severe economic crisis and high inflation after 2 years of political upheaval. In news from the diaspora, well, 30 people, including 20 Nigerians and a jail nurse, have been arrested in a multi-million, multi-state identity theft and credit card fraud ring by the United States authorities. According to a U.S. newspaper, the Jersey Journal, the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office in the state of New Jersey in America first got involved in the investigation in several months ago in 2012 when they received numerous complaints from victims as far away as California, claiming that credit cards in their name made fraudulent retail purchases in Hudson County, officials said. Using store video and physical surveillance, the detectives were able to identify several suspects. Authorities have stated detectives then linked those suspects to the hundreds of other accounts and millions of dollars in fake transactions. The leader of the group, authorities say, purchased the identities of unsuspecting victims from online brokers who got the information from computer hackers across the United States. Authorities say the suspects spent the proceeds in luxury cars, high-end jewelry and other lavish expenses. Some of the money was additionally sent to accounts in Nigeria. More assets are expected, said Hudson County Assistant Prosecutor Jane Rubino. In aviation news, aside from the 153 people that died in a Dana plane crash at Iju-Ishaga area of Lagos State in June last year, approximately 100 ground victims are currently demanding compensation for the damage to their properties in the densely populated area. Although the total claims are yet to be ascertained, many of them are reportedly asking for claims running into billions of naira. And that's Pan-African World. Kakaki continues in a moment. Don't forget, we have our second interview continuing after this time out. Stay with us.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
Exciting
and breathtaking
experience
with Kakaki,
the African voice.
Well, thank you for staying with us. That was Pan-African World. And still on the interview, we're looking at Wise Way Training School for NGOs. Now, Kolawole, just before we went on that break, I wanted to ask you, NGOs have become major players in international development across the world. Now, one of the problems that they have faced is fundraising. The term non-profit is usually one of the key factors in NGOs, but a lot of them do not seem to know what non-profit exactly is. And so when they go out to do fundraising, they're actually stuck in the middle when they are asked what sort of NGO are they?
Definitely, it's a general thing, most especially in Africa. And when people are searching for money, a lot of people have another motive behind it. Okay, they have, this is an opportunity for me to enrich myself, for me to become better, can buy all kind of cars and all that. But I believe that this is where government can come in to also find a means of regulating this non-governmental organization, most especially in each country, so that at least we can rebrand the image of the country. So.
Okay, let's look at the training schedule for the NGOs that you train, for instance. What is the training? What does the training entail?
In the training, We have introduction to the social sector. This one is basically for people who are interested in starting their NGO, or people who are interested in working for an NGO, be it international or local. We do introduction to the sectors, to the environment. We also have regulatory and legal, like what you talk about. We enlighten them of this is what you need to do to get registered with Corporate Affairs Commission. We have what we call strategic plan. The strategic plan to know the direction in which you're going. In the next 1 year, this is what you want to be. In the next 10 years, this is what you want to be. In the next 100 years, this is where you want to be. We also have proposal writing. How do you write a proposal? Before you can get international funding, you need to know how to write a persuasive proposal. And not even now that international donor is getting very, very skeptical about Nigeria. So we open the eyes of the people on how to can write a persuasive proposal. Then we have what we call project management, which is also known as monitoring and evaluation. How can you monitor a project? If you get an opportunity to have international funding, you must be able to report back to them effectively. And you can only do that when you have what we call monitoring and evaluation. We have what we call corporate governance. Corporate governance guides the organization, police the organization. It doesn't allow, maybe the executive director is the only one that is signatory to the account. She's the one that will withdraw the money, do this transaction alone. The corporate governance puts a check-in and all that. And we have what we call resource mobilization. Resource mobilization goes beyond funding. One of the aspects of resource mobilization can be volunteering, people can give and all that, which it goes beyond money as well. We have what we call sustainability plan. I talk about some government officials starting their NGO. Nothing is wrong with that, but most of them don't have a sustainability plan. So after 4 years, they close up, or after 8 years in the office, they close up. So that's where we come up. We are still trying to work with some other government officials, the wife of some governors, and see how we can sell some of these ideas to them of sustainability plan. Even if you are no more in the office, the idea should not die, because it's a noble idea that they have started. So sustainability plan comes up in that area. We also have what we call impact investment, which also part of sustainability plan, to just make sure that they can sustain themselves for the long time, even when the money is not more forthcoming from the international area or even in the local area. We have what we call fundraising. Fundraising has mostly been the focus of NGOs. A lot of people come to me, I want to raise money, how do I raise money, and all that. We also teach them, we train them on how they can raise money, both locally and internationally. We have what we call building creativity. The world we are talking about creativity. The environment is becoming much more competitive. Technology has made the whole thing to be more complex. So you have to be more creative. We have report writing. Some people don't know how to write a report and all that. And this area also we focus on fresh graduates as well, that comes to us and say they want to work with non-governmental organization. You must know how to write reports. And because these are the areas in which they will be looking at, can you write something? Can you express a particular report in a paper that the other party that is not there can read it and understand it? We also have what we call grant management, effective grant management. You've gotten the grant from the local and international organization. How do you manage it so that you can get another grant again? Before you even finish executing that project, they can tell you, wow, we want you to go to another state, we want you to go to another country, just because you manage that grant effectively. We have what we call succession for NGO. It's not only in the business you talk about succession, we also talk about non-governmental organization succession. We always say that for the fact that you are not into profit, that doesn't mean you should make a loss. It's the same thing with succession plan. How do you make sure that somebody else take over from you, and not that a particular staff resign and that's the end to that NGO? So these are some of the areas in which we look into, and we also look into volunteerism. I heard one of the staff of the HIT talking about soliciting for money for the school for the blind in Chabi. I've been there and all that. And these are some of the ways in which you can solicit for volunteering. People can join your vision and volunteer their hours, their time, their clothes, and so many others.
All right. Now, it was key you said that, because some NGOs are one-man party, and it's really key to actually define, give people the definition of what the lines of autonomy, is subjected to. But in all of your, the things that the modules that you offered here, I was expecting to hear research mechanism, because what has happened to a lot of NGOs that makes them unsustainable is that they don't even know the long-term know-how morale to keep the organizations up? Because it's not enough to have a dream or to have an idea or to be pushed by passion. A lot of the times research is key. So how are you going to imbibe that in some of your learning modules?
And definitely, it comes under the introduction to the social sector.
Okay.
That's part of it. That's part of what you, because it's a vision. It starts with a vision, start with a passion. And beyond your passion, there must be one or two things that you're going to put in place to make it to be more sustainable. So that comes under the introduction to social sector.
All right. Also, do you help these NGOs source for funds? Is it part of what you do?
Yes, I do. I help them to write proposal. Depends on the type of proposals they want me to write. I write for international, I write for local. I'll also help them to do what we call advocacy as well.
Okay, just before we go, training, is it every day? Well, how long does this training take and how often does it happen?
Our training comes up every last Saturday of the month. The one for the second quarter is coming up by May, which is holding in Edo House. By 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., we're always there. It's going to run for 4 Saturdays. Last Saturday of May, last Saturday of June, July, and August, which is going to be 4 Saturday. And after that, we issue the certificate for people who have successfully passed through that.
But where is Edo House precisely?
Edo House is in central area in Abuja.
Okay.
All right. I'd like to thank you very much for coming on the show this morning. We have been taking a look at capacity building for NGOs the wise way. And we've had joined us this morning, Kolawole Jayeoba. He's the CEO, Wise Way Training School. And well, he said that's definitely to start any business. Research is key. You have to understand the modus operandi of such an NGO or business as the case may be. So if you want to start an NGO, maybe you should give Kolawole a call. We'll take a break now and we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.
Well, thank you for staying with us, but we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us. For staying with us. Well, I was just saying I was ready to my director, so you caught me. That one was off-stage production. Well, it's time for us to bring you lead stories around the world, and we're beginning with National Mirror this morning to mirror it down to what's happening in the polity and maybe the rest of the world if we can handle it. Now, if you look at the lead story there, National Mirror is looking at ACN and accusations there. It says ACN accuses presidency of plot to rig 2015 polls. PDP says it's not true. And then you also see Samba remains leader of the North. ACF brings us there on page 13. Now, of course, over the weekend, we saw a lot of hullabaloos about who and what and when to replace the vice president, because he does not maybe precisely represent the North faction of the Federal Republic. But that's still ongoing between the Katsina State and the Bauchi State governor as they try to campaign for sides within the Governors Forum. But hence, you know, Governors Forum election will come again on May, and on May 9th to be precise. I don't know if the date has changed, but we will bring you up to date with that date this year. Now, below that, we'll see bottom page, killing of 12 policemen. Men claimed responsibility. Authorities raised panel to investigate attack. And we remember this threat came last week Friday with men saying that they will go back to violence. And people said, well, let's see how they come on about that. But right now, we've lost 12 policemen, and it's been accredited to the MEND group. That story is on page 5 of National Mirror. You also see NLC proposes 960 billion naira housing estates for workers, and that is on bottom page of National Mirror on page 8. Now, if you can follow me above the masthead, you will see that story. Handing over of Genco's discos may be postponed, and you're looking at the handing over of the 15 successor companies of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN, which of course being privatized to new investors, scheduled for May this year, may be postponed if the government fails to meet. That is continuing on page 6 of National Mirror. Gunmen attack church in Maiduguri, injure policeman on page 47 of National Mirror. Now over to Daily News Watch. You will see Daily News Watch there telling you tenor elongation, as they have called it here. Says ACN presidency trade tackles. And then it's of course coming from opposition, as everybody would understand that, and how free and fair opposition brings to power. So